All right, welcome to week 9. This week we are looking at the issue of comparative research, which is a subject that I'm somewhat better familiar with than experimental research. And political science experimental stuff is kind of leave that to the psychologists. Um, Everything that we do, as in science involves some kind of comparison. It's one of the things. It's one of the reasons why comparative politics is kind of viewed as a meta discipline. It's generally viewed as something that international relations people do far more often. But it's something that, again, comparison is an innate aspect of the scientific approach. Uh, for comparativists, the kind of the most rudimentary aspect of comparison is the idea of case studies. And case studies remain sort of a venerable approach to doing comparative politics. Of course, within the field of comparative politics, there are more quantitative studies that are being done these days. Typically, when you look again at large N versus small N studies, there are advantages and disadvantages to both. Um, of course, when you're dealing with sort of large numbers, you have to be sure that the concepts that you're deploying are actually relatively similar across cultures. That's oftentimes one of the problems that you have. With small N comparisons, you have again this sense in which you have to recognize you don't want to pretend that one case study has universal qualities, nor do you want to pretend that it's entirely unique as well. So again, there are a lot of questions associated with sort of how you do comparative politics, comparative research effectively. When you look at the basic methods, the most similar and most different systems are the ones that are most commonly deployed. They kind of reflect John Stuart Mill's, kind of ideas that you can get knowledge from comparing similar systems, but you can also get knowledge from comparing very different systems as well. And so, comparing executive, politics or, executive powers within presidential systems, you could compare the United States, France, and Russia. And you could be both. I mean, that could, to some extent, be sort of a most similar and most different system design, because, of course, these days, I think Russia is increasingly an authoritarian country. So, I mean, in any event, I think there's a lot to talk about this week. I think we really only have the forum and well, we also have the second critical thinking exercise, the 5 laws of politics. So hopefully you guys can get that done in time. I'm going to be lenient in terms of the deadline. But in any event, again, let's those of us, those of you who were in my comparative class last spring, this shouldn't be a problem at all for you. But those of you who aren't, I think that it's pretty accessible as well. So let's have a great week and let's learn a lot.